Hi, it's John Binney. I'm here in my Rollerteam Autoroller 746, which is a motorhome, and I'm busy doing some upgrades to my wiring and my inverter so that I can do things like boil a kettle from electricity and solar, and also record songs in my mobile recording studio. So first of all, this is the back of the van. Really, the first thing I did when I started this little project, it's going to take hopefully about a week. I've just taken all the stuff from the front, like the driver cab, backs of the seats, the table, the seating area, and some of the seats that sit at the front. So this is all the junk just put at the back. And when I come down here, this is where I'm doing the work. So in this motorhome, originally the battery, the leisure battery, sits just here. So there's like two seats that you can sit on with a table in the middle, and the battery sits under the seats. And so this was the original, and just when we bought the van, we asked for a second battery to be added, and so the dealer added a second battery here. Now, what I found was that actually the wiring wasn't quite as I expected when I took a look at it. So first of all, they were connected in parallel. So there's two wires. You can just see them actually pointing out just here. They're disconnected at the moment, but they ran just from here, and two wires ran under here through this cable. So there's usually a walkway bit over this part. It ran through here, up next to the heater here, and connected to the battery. And what that meant was that although the two batteries were in parallel, the actual electronics, which all come through this main live here, all the electronics for like the heating and for the fridge and the TV and lights and everything all ran from one battery. And the problem with that is that what happened was, it's quite funny, is that actually two batteries kind of buddy each other. So when this battery was running out of charge, this one started helping it by topping it up with more. So they're kind of like just balancing charge between them, which sounds good, but actually it's not efficient at all. So the first thing I did in this project was to make sure I have all the right equipment, and I had to buy lots of cabling. So I bought this, let me try and lift some up here. I bought some cabling, which is super thick. And the reason it's super thick is because the batteries are quite far apart. So this is, I think it's 95 millimeters. It's very heavy and it's very difficult to work with. And it's like a kind of multi-core. So it has multiple strands in it, you can just see there. Multiple strands together, and that means that it's more flexible for driving around, which is really good. You don't want the cable splitting or causing you problems, so it's more durable. So what I do is so far I'm about halfway through the work. So after I took everything off, I took a good look at the electrics. Now, I'm not an expert on this, but I'm starting to learn a lot, and definitely some great YouTubers out there like Gadget John. Do check out his channel, it's amazing. And what I found was I needed super thick cables because the batteries are very far apart. And the first thing I need to do is run two cables, so a positive and a negative, and they need to run in parallel just all the way through to the positive and negative on this battery here. And what that does is it links the two batteries together. And then I have an inverter. So down here, I have a 2000w Inverter, and I've put it just under the seat here. So it's this black thing with the stripes that you can see. And what that does is it converts the power from 12 volts, from 12 volts from the batteries into 240 volts, because this is the UK. And so I have the live, so the red wire from the inverter, and it runs all the way down here, and it runs into the battery directly here. So when this is done, I'll have two red here. I'll have the red that's the link to the other battery, and I'll have a second red live cable, and that will run to the inverter. And then I'll also have the negative. So what happens is when you have two batteries like this, what you do is you link them together, and then you draw power from them kind of diagonally between the two to balance the draw. And so what I'll have is I'll have the black, tonight I'm going to run the black cable all the way from here over to the other battery here. And that will mean that the live comes from this battery, and then the negative comes from this battery. And then the link between the two, so the two cables that run in parallel, allows the current to flow evenly. And so, yeah, the next step I have to do is add the second red cable. So I had a bit of a challenge getting the red cable here, the black cable here. I'm gonna have to put the red one in here too, but the black cable currently runs under here and comes out through here. I'm going to have to add a second one. It's very thick, it's very difficult, and it's very difficult to put the flat panel back on, but there should be just enough space. And then, yeah, so I'm just going to add the second black cable here, and then I'll add a second red cable here, and that should be them connected. Now, I'm then left with what do I do with the Motorhome electrics, the original electrics. And so my plan is to figure out what to do here. Now, this is a shunt. A shunt is like a kind of negative connector. And you can also get ones that have Bluetooth connectors so that you can monitor the power usage. And what I'm going to do here is probably connect this one, instead of it being to the main battery, because its negatives for the Motorhome system are already here. I'm going to run the positive instead from this battery. And I'm either going to put in a new cable. It doesn't need to be this super thick cable, because this super thick cable can cope with 300 amps. And in fact, this thick cable does have, I added like a flip switch fuse, and that allows about 300 amps to run through it. So it's graded under the rating of the wire, but it'll be plenty. It'll cope with at least a couple of thousand, like a 2000-watt inverter. So yeah, so I need to figure out what to do here. I'm definitely going to put the live over to the battery. I might use the original cabling because it's thinner. It's only going to draw maybe 20 amps at most, and so the existing cable might be fine. But yeah, that's about it. So at the moment, the van's kind of in parts with a battery there. You can see this is the like the inverter charger for 240 volts to 12 volts, and then there's my inverter next to it that I added, and that works really well. And the inverter has a control panel here and the plugs. And another job I'll do, I might do this separately, but is I'll probably do the wiring, but I'll run a cable from here out to here and then back through here. And it means that if I'm clever, I'll be able to get power up into the main sockets here when we're off grid. So that's just like a main socket at the moment, only works on hookup. So yeah, lots to do. I thought I would just give you an update. About halfway through, I'm doing most of the work in the dark, so it's also nice to see it during the day. My advice is, first of all, I'm not an expert. Please do seek the proper advice, and if you're not sure, get an electrician. But to give you a sense of the sort of work you can do yourself, I'm very lucky to have some friends that can help me as well. And yeah, I've got a lot to learn still to connect this up, but I'm following as much safety advice I can, you know, getting thicker wires, getting lower rated fuses, making sure all the connections are super solid when I'm putting them together, and that the cables are secure for when the van's rattling around when we're driving. And yeah, it's exciting. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to sharing more on this adventure. Thank you.